Hello guys, welcome back to House of Cramel and welcome to Vlogmas day 15. Wow, no, it's 16. Yeah, Vlogmas day 16. I can't even believe I'm this far into Vlogmas. Thank you guys for watching my videos thus far. It really means a lot and I really appreciate you coming on this journey with me. So if you've watched all the videos, one of the videos, some of the videos, it is all genuinely appreciated. I'm doing something a little bit different this evening. I wanted to record this days ago, but I've been behind on producing my content anyway. So nonetheless, this is a topic I wanted to address. In the midst of all this like holiday shopping and gifts and trees and decorating and everything, I had to take a moment and pause, and I just kind of thought about, like, I just remember when I wasn't that happy to celebrate the holidays. I have always loved Christmas. I love the holidays, but admittedly at some stages of my life the holidays have been just getting through them. Some years were harder than others. I can remember years when I experienced loss, as in death in my family. I can remember years where I had a bad breakup and just life just was not panning out to what I thought it would be. And I mean, I can remember years where I was stressed when I was working through all of the holidays. There are tons of stages in my life where I just remember not feeling the best around the holidays, but making the best of it, if that makes any sense. And in this season of my life, I'm I'm very happy. And I feel very blessed. And part of the reason I feel so blessed is because I know what it's like to not necessarily be in this place also. So even though, like, just be careful, you know, when somebody looks happy, or you know, when their life look, I don't want to use the word perfect, because by no means do I feel like my life is perfect, but I do feel like I'm in a very great place. But just a short while ago, like not too long ago, I can remember moments where it wasn't. So this is just a long-winded way of me talking about how to cope with your feelings and just different situations during the holidays. I'm specifically probably speaking to people that have dealt with loss, breakups, or things in that manner. So I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a doctor, I do not have a degree in this. This advice is not to be taken as medical advice by any means, but these are my own thoughts and opinions on how I feel like, my suggestions, because these are things that I've personally done that have helped me through bad times or negative times in my life during the holidays. So take it for, I mean, it is advice, it's my advice, but like I said, I'm not a therapist, I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a doctor. I do not have any credentials to give you any advice in an expert position. Other than that, this is how some things that I've done to help myself process my feelings and feel better during the holidays in times where I didn't feel the best. So without further ado, let me get started, because I know I've been talking for 5 minutes and I haven't given you anything to do. So, you know, I always have my notes with these types of videos. Number one, I will say this. Number one is actually one that I have not done, but I highly recommend it because I just feel like so many people have so much success with it, and I do want to do this in the coming years. If you have a therapist, I feel like now is a good time to kind of ramp up on those sessions and talk to them maybe at a higher frequency than normal. The holidays tends to have a lot more triggers for you. But I feel like a therapist, or your therapist if you have one, can give you some appropriate tools that you need to be able to cope during times like this. Everyone's needs are different, so if you do have a therapist, I highly recommend you take advantage of them, talk to them, and you know, just kind of get ahead of the situation. And I mean, these tips can be used for any holiday, not just Christmas or whatever you celebrate throughout the holidays. I personally celebrate Christmas. So my second tip. All right, so this one sometimes is easier said than done, but if you find yourself, this kind of applies to people that might be depressed or really sad during these times, but take time to own your feelings. To be more specific, like, just don't let your feelings overtake you. Easier said than done, I know, but taking the effort to like push through some of the feelings that you may be feeling actually will help. It feels easier to not fight or not do anything, and it's harder to actually take action to it. But I find that acknowledging the feelings that you have and owning them is a part of the process of helping you to get through them. Otherwise, you just kind of being mindless about the way that you address them. Not owning your feelings can lead to you just doing some really bad habits and trying to cope in ways that don't even match the feeling because you haven't identified it. So that's one suggestion. And also, this one is super hard, but my next tip is fight the desire to be alone, especially for long periods of time. It is super easy to withdraw or want to withdraw during the holidays, or when you're feeling sad, or when you're feeling super stressed, or when you're feeling overwhelmed. It's super easy to just be like, you know what, I'm not coming out, I'm gonna stay in the house, I'm gonna just sleep. But the reality of that is, withdrawing and staying alone for long periods of time is a breeding ground for negative feelings. Like, it just grows. It doesn't disappear. It doesn't go away. It's like feeding a monster exactly what it wants to eat. It wants you alone. It wants you to not be around people. It wants you not to attack. And it's just not good for you. It's easier to be alone. It's easier not to be around people or not talk to anyone. But I personally don't feel like it is the best thing to do. Am I saying that there are times that you don't need to be alone? No, because there are absolutely some occasions where you definitely should take time for yourself. But that's more self-preservation, me time, self-care time. I feel like replacing or ways to fight back on the desire to just retreat from social interaction at all, like, reach out to a friend. It might not be a whole group of friends, but just like one good friend, or your church, or some type of group that you know you can depend on. And if you don't have those people, reach out to some type of support group. Or one of my personal favorites, this might be unorthodox, but I really like Facebook groups, and I'm gonna tell you why. There is literally probably almost a Facebook group available for any stage of life, interest, feeling, all of that. And Facebook has just made it super easy to be able to find your people, so to speak. So an example, when I started breastfeeding, or when I started exclusively pumping, to be more specific, there weren't a lot of people like just around me that understood what that took or what that meant and how that felt. And it takes a lot. But I joined a group on Facebook where literally there were mothers every day dealing with the same struggle that I was dealing with, the same challenges that I was dealing with every single day. And we just bonded over exclusively pumping. The same thing can be said for whatever type of interest you group. There's probably even a group out there of people that hate the holidays, and for whatever reasons, and they bond over that. Just reaching out and talking to someone can help. And so you're not necessarily alone. You're not necessarily around people in person, but it is a way to interact with people. Another suggestion I have: talk to God. Talk to God, talk to God, talk to God. I'm a believer. I'm a Christian. I celebrate Christmas. I believe in Jesus Christ. I believe in God. I talk to him. I pray, and it helps. It sometimes takes work to hear, and that is a place where many people have to grow in their faith. But hearing comes by growing your relationship with Christ. Talk to God, talk to God. I can't stress that enough. If you are a believer, talk to God. If you're not a believer, consider it. And the other thing that I kind of suggest, maybe it's not talking to people, maybe it's not making that type of connection, but maybe it's doing something outside of that. Going to volunteer somewhere where you kind of serve others. So you're not necessarily alone, but you're not isolated. And you're also kind of taking your mind off of what is kind of eating at you or your depression, and you're redirecting that energy. So that's another interesting way to not be alone, but also distract yourself from the feelings that you may be feeling. Next overall tip: so if you are grieving during this time, especially the holidays, it's definitely it's not easy to get over a death or losing someone, and it's something that takes time. So if you are dealing with a loss, especially if it's very recent, take the time and heal. It's okay to be sad. It is completely okay to cry. It's worse to bottle them up, but just because it's the holidays doesn't mean your feelings go away. So while you're grieve, like, take the time to grieve. But in that grief, during the holidays, I recommend taking some time out to do something to honor the person that you remember. Doing something in their memory. That might be an ornament on the tree. That may be taking part in a tradition that you always did with them when they were alive. And just keeping those memories alive. That's definitely something we've done in my family. I lost my mother a very long time ago, and I mean, it doesn't get easier. It doesn't go away. I think about her often, if not every day, and there are still things that I do to this day, even with my family, that I'm always like, me and my mother did that, I remember that. And I feel like that helps us to keep those positive memories alive, like keep the feelings, the good memories with us. And you know, just it helps us to continue to heal, because it's a process, and it just continues to be a process. You just move through different stages, and you know, as you move through the different stages, I hate to use the word easier, but it does get a bit easier to manage your feelings. So it may not be that you always miss them, but you might not be crying every day, or something that used to trigger you might not trigger you as badly anymore. So I suggest trying that. In my my next tip is, okay, so the holidays tends to bring on so much stress. There's so much hustle and bustle around it all. And I mean, there's a part of it that I do personally enjoy, but then it definitely gets stressful. Like literally, I'm sitting here right now, I've taken on Vlogmas, but I have not sent out Christmas cards yet. And I know that's something I want to do, but am I gonna let that stress me out? I'm choosing not to let that stress me out. If my Christmas cards don't go out till close to the new year, well, they will also just say Happy New Year, and that is that. I will still share the photos we took, I will still send a card, but I am taking the position and the perspective not to let it stress me out, just because it's not necessarily going out in the timing that I originally planned. And that's the attitude a lot of people have to take when you're stressed around the holidays. We start to value and prioritize the wrong things, even to the point where it's damaging to us, and we can't do that. So if the tree don't get put up by Thanksgiving or by December 1st, it's fine. The tree can still go up. The tree can go up on December 24th or the 26th if you wanted to. There are no rules around that. If the lights, if you don't get to put decorations outside this year, it's fine. If you don't wrap the children's gifts, guess what? They don't care. They're just gonna open them and rip them up. So I'm just trying to put it in perspective for you. If you don't find that one of a kind gift for someone, or you didn't find it, a gift card will still suffice, or they will be just as happy receiving it after the new year. You just have to put things in perspective. If it's getting to the point where these things that are supposed to be contributing happiness to you and other people's lives are starting to stress you out, then they're no longer happy things. So you have to switch gears and make sure you are okay. So I feel like I started preaching a little bit, but I think that's super important to kind of hone in on. And I want to say this is my last tip, but oh, I have two more. So one thing, and I'm actually really bad at this, but I know through other experiences that this works. Exercise. I feel exercise is an excellent remedy to all of these negative things, whether you're depressed, mourning, stressed. Exercise just helps. Daily exercise is even better. There's something about, even if you're dreading doing whatever it is that you're about to do, something about movement just gets the blood pumping and the good feelings flowing. I don't know what it is. Like, have you ever just, even if you didn't feel like it, done a worked out for about 30 minutes, and after you just feel great and you don't even know why? There's some type of scientific reason for that. I can't necessarily explain it to you right now, so I'm not going to try, but Google it, look it up. There's a reason why you feel really good after you work out, and it's a natural like high. So I recommend taking up a workout regimen if you don't already do it, and if you do, don't fall back on it, if that makes sense, because it's gonna help you get through these tough times. So yeah, exercise, even if you don't want to, exercise. And my last tip, excuse me, my last tip, as I told you, I am absolutely a believer and follower of Jesus Christ. I'm a spiritual person, and I think that everyone, especially if you celebrate Christmas, remember the reason for the season. Santa Claus, trees, and all the things that we do, all the presents we buy are great, and they are great additions to and traditions that we've added to this holiday. But make sure you're keeping in perspective the reason why we are celebrating this holiday, and that is to celebrate the birth of Jesus Christ. I'm fully aware there are people out there that celebrate Christmas without the religious aspect. I'm fully aware that there are people that celebrate other holidays such as Hanukkah or even Kwanzaa around the holidays. So there's a lot of holidays swirling around this time. But I say for each of them, remember the reason that you're doing this. Remember the roots of why you're doing this. If you're Christian like me, if you're a believer like me, Jesus Christ was born. He came to save us, and we live today. If you are a non-Christmas celebrator, you're participating in an altruistic, goodwill type holiday. You want to feel good. You love the spirit of togetherness and family and love. And remember that is the most important thing about what you've chosen to celebrate. And I won't address Hanukkah because I'm not Jewish, but remember the reason. I know that there's a deeper reason outside of gifts and all these other things that we take up. So yeah, I won't let this video get any longer than it is, but some of this stuff was definitely, well, all of this stuff was clearly on my heart, and I wanted to take some time to talk about it with you guys. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and like this video. And you know, if you have some tips or helpful things that might help someone else get through the holidays, any holiday, it doesn't even have to be just Christmas, drop them in the comments below. Help someone else, and I will see you guys later.